Hola, my name is Guillermo Benumea, but I go by Memo. Thank you very much for attending our event today, and extra points for arriving early. Most of the presenters that you'll see today will speak Spanish, but I'll say this piece in English for greater clarity. So in an effort to make the 2022 Secular Day of the Dead a bilingual event, there will be English and Spanish transcripts appearing in the chat section. So please click on the chat section in the Zoom options and select Show Chat Preview. Our wonderful technician, Cristina Magallanes-Jones, will be transcribing in the chat of either English or Spanish, depending on who's speaking. In a few moments, I will welcome you formally to the 2022 Secular Day of the Dead event. But for now, I'm thrilled to welcome the performer who will open this event. It's a great comedian, our friend, Luis Alberto Torres. Luis Alberto Torres lives in Tijuana and was born just south of TJ in a small town called Ensenada. He's a voice actor and he's also a marketing professional. Luis has been doing stand-up comedy for a few years now. And just last year, he participated in the prestigious TEDx event in Tijuana. Being an atheist, Luis sees death through a perspective free of religion, without empty promises of a heaven or threats of something worse, right? Since he's passionate about these topics, he has designed a sketch specifically for the Secular Day of the Dead 2022. So it is my pleasure to present the international comedy of Luis Alberto Torres.
¿Qué pasa, chicos? Bienvenido al Día de los Muertos Secular 2022, ¿viste? Una cosa tremenda, algo que se celebra en México pues, hace 8 años, ¿no? Ni siquiera lo recuerdo. ¿Por qué estoy hablando así? Pues porque es de mis pocos talentos, la neta, para que les soy sincero. Me quiero presentar, soy un comediante de la ciudad de Tijuana, nací en Ensenada, también soy licenciado en Mercadotecnia y estoy muy contento de estar celebrando el Día de los Muertos Secular con ustedes. Me dijeron que tenía que hacerlo en español y en inglés. Lamento decirles que no lo voy a hacer tanto en inglés porque tengo un acento muy marcado, realmente me da poquita pena. Pues a ver si lo notan. Hello everybody, welcome to the happy day of the dead from Secular from Mexico. I'm so sorry for my accent, okay? I know it's a very thick accent, okay? I know it's very thick, but it's you know, I'm sometimes stubborn. ¿Por qué es tan importante el Día de los Muertos para nosotros los mexicanos? Pues nada, que a nosotros ni nos vean. Esa tradición es de esos indígenas. Nosotros no lo hemos traído. Pues nada, que les hemos dado muchos muertos, tío, pero por esa tradición, joder, a mí me la suda, ¿eh? Así es, amigos, desde hace cientos, miles de años en México, o lo que antes era Mexico, no me acuerdo cómo se llama Macario antes. Porque para nosotros la muerte tiene que ver mucho con nuestra historia, como todas las religiones, porque creo que todas las religiones no pueden estar correctas, pero todas pueden estar equivocadas. Otra cosa muy importante que tenemos que tener en cuenta es que los mexicanos celebramos la muerte, porque en otros lugares es como ¡ay, la loca! Voy a ver a mi papacito. ¡Papacito, abrázame! Porque ya no me vas a estar abrazando. Y así en cambio nosotros mexicanos sabemos que es otro plano, llegaste a otro lugar, felicidades, next level. Amigos, una de las razones que estoy muy contento de estar celebrando este Día de los Muertos secular es porque es secular. O sea, creo que estoy con todos ustedes de acuerdo en que la vida llega hasta cierto día. Todas las religiones coinciden en algo y pues básicamente es la pregunta, ¿qué llegó primero, el huevo o la gallina? La respuesta es que todos vamos a morir. Y así como todos nos vamos a morir, pues es el gran misterio de toda la vida. Todo mundo hemos tenido esa noción, esa incertidumbre de qué va a pasar con nosotros. Y es por eso que se inventaron todas las religiones. Porque de repente un día, imagínense, esto fue lo que sucedió en básicamente todas las religiones. Estaban dos personas en el bosque o en la playa o en el desierto y viendo las estrellas dijeron:
No, hombre, primo. No, pues tú cómo crees que se creó todo esto.
Pues yo creo que pues alguien lo hizo allá en el cielo.
No, pues sí, alguien bien bueno, ¿verdad? Pues nos controla toda la vida y toda esa madre.
Y así salieron todas las religiones. Bueno, y de repente unas se desvirtuaron porque salieron los cristianos, luego salieron los católicos, luego salieron los mormones, luego salieron los protestantes, luego los y todos tienen la razón. Come on, man. Such a dreadful and preposterous thing to say. What comes after life? I do not know. I do not understand. Así que, hermano, usted me tiene que decir esta huevonada, ¿cómo la vamos a hacer? Porque pues todo el mundo no se puede entender cómo las religiones tienen diferentes pues resultados o dividendos, hermano, como que al final todo el mundo dice pues viene de este lado y pues los mexicanos dijeron algo, hermano, que te mueres a la mierda y eso es todo. Así es, amigos, nosotros cuando celebramos el Día de los Muertos sabemos que nuestros muertos ya no están, sabemos que están en un lugar mejor, pero durante este 2 de noviembre pues lo sentimos un poquito en nuestros corazones, porque les voy a decir algo, yo podré ser ateo, podré no creer en algo, pero estoy convencido de algo. Yo creo que nos morimos 3 veces. Cuando te mueres físicamente, ¿qué va a pasar? A ti, a mí, a él le pasó. A todos nos va a pasar. 2, como en Coco, cuando todo el mundo se olvida de ti, como tu familia. Y 3, cuando la historia se olvida de ti. Así que el Día de los Muertos es eso, darle vida a nuestros muertos. Porque no podemos olvidar nunca que el Día de los Muertos es para los vivos. Porque nosotros son los que necesitamos que regresen, nos abracen y nos apapachen. Aunque nosotros pongamos nuestros altares de muertos, nuestros frijolitos, nuestras conchas, nuestro pan de muerto, todo eso es para reconfortarnos a nosotros y es muy bonito porque eso une a nuestras familias, esto une a nuestro país, ahorita que estamos tan divididos.
Y no, pues la neta, mira, yo muy diferente a todos estos vatos que han hablado aquí de México, pero la neta yo también coincido, está muy bonito, está el millón esta relación. Nosotros ponemos otra cosa en los altares, ¿verdad? Pues otra sustancia. Pues a veces no me lo puedo dividir, pero pues me encanta mucho hablar como ustedes.
Ay, y para todos ustedes que piensan que el Día de Muertos es para todos los mexicanos que hablamos así. Pues sí es cierto, sí es para todos, pero para todos los mexicanos, porque también es para nosotros y también, o sea, paps, o sea, evidentemente, o sea, yo veo los altares y digo, wow, qué cosa tan espectacular, ¿no? México mágico, o sea, se me hace bien increíble, o sea, yo no hago el mío, le digo a Geltrudis que haga el mío, ¿no? Ahí pongo los huesitos de mis tíos, güey. ¿Cómo no? ¿No se ponen huesos de verdad? Mamá! Dude, like, this is a gnarly tradition, man, like Mexico is like such a badass, like let's go with the tail like for one day, right? Like gnarly. I mean, yeah, it's like what? Oh my god, it's like I feel in Thailand or something. I really don't understand. It's so colorful. It's so full of life. It's like National Geographic or something.
Parece que estoy viendo fragmentado.
Amigos, como les comenté, soy comediante, soy ateo, tengo un divorcio, vivo en casa de un amigo. Soy el orgullo de mi familia. Pero bueno, ¿por qué comento esto? Porque a mí muchas veces me han dicho: ¡Chao! ¿Si te crees tan ateo? O sea, ¿por qué no estás faltando respeto? O sea, estas tradiciones, o sea, son de Diosito Santo para todos nosotros, carnal. La neta, te voy a partir tu cara si nos sigues faltando al respeto. Y pues la realidad de las cosas, compadre, es que no tiene nada que ver. O sea, así como no tiene nada que ver que yo esté cambiando de acentos, compadre, yo nomás lo estoy haciendo porque me sale muy bien. No tiene nada que ver. Así es, tú puedes creer en lo que quieras, puedes tener cualquier religión. Yo no comparto ninguna, pero esta tradición es de todos los mexicanos. Hónrala. Es más, puedes tener una cabra. Estaría muy raro, pero tú puedes hacerlo. Algo que me encanta del Día de los Muertos como una persona atea es que no hay ninguna pretensión, no hay ninguna respuesta. De hecho, los otros 364 días no sabemos dónde están los muertos, solo sabemos que están muertos. Y ya, eso es todo, solo queremos que un día bajen con nosotros. No somos como esas religiones súper intensas, ya sabes, con los choirs y así.
And I'll say hallelujah, hallelujah, I told you right now, demon, get out of my house, get out of my church right now. The other day, hear me out, Jesus Christ Almighty. The other day, This was in my backyard when I was on a barbecue.
Mijos, no se dejen engañar. Nadie sabe qué va a pasar. ¿Sabes cuál es mi propuesta de lo que va a pasar después de que nos muramos? ¿Te acuerdas del año 1521? O sea, no me refiero a la historia. O sea, ¿tú personalmente te acuerdas? Pues no, ¿verdad? Porque no existías. Cuando te mueres eso va a pasar. No va a pasar nada.
Don't believe this people.
Bueno amigos, me voy, pero no sé antes de despedirme en inglés también, porque sé que estamos en Secular Day of the Dead y eso es muy importante. So bye bye, have a good day, God bless you. I don't know which one because we have too many. We have the elephant with the arms. We have the other one with I don't know. We have many gods, Ganesh, the Krishna, and everybody. Okay? Have a nice day. Bye bye. I love you all. Not very much of you, but okay, I love you. Bye bye. Chao. Y síganme en mis redes sociales, por favor. Estoy como Soy el Luis Torres en Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I didn't even notice how I did it. I just like changed. What's happening? Macario, oh my God, what's happening?
Échale, mijo. Échale, mijo. Échale, mijo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jake Ritter. I am the Program Support and Communications Coordinator for the American Ethical Union, one of the sponsors of the Dia de los Muertos Secular. Today, I am proud to be the Zoom technician for this wonderful event. In an effort to make the 2022 Dia de los Muertos Secular event bilingual, a transcript in both English and Spanish will appear in the chat section. Please click on the chat section of your Zoom options. Select Show Chat Previews. The chat section should appear on the far right side of your screen. Our chat/closed captioning technician, Cristiana Magallanes Jones, will be placing either Spanish or English text, depending on who the speaker is at the time, into the chat section. The transcript text will appear in blocks. The speakers are following a script for easy text viewing. Please open the chat section now. During this event, the chat section is closed for communications other than the transcript appearing with either English or Spanish text. We will open the chat for everyone during the social hour after the formal agenda. The pre-event performer was comedian Luis Alberto Torres, and I'm sure those of you who saw his performance enjoyed it as much as I did. If you missed the routine, no worries. The performance will be included in the recording, which will be available on YouTube soon. By joining this event, you have automatically given your permission to be recorded. We also ask that all participants are respectful, practice common sense courtesies, as well as abide by the non-discrimination and non-harassment policies found at the Freethought Society website. All participants, except for the presenters, are muted to ensure the best audio quality for everyone. There will be opportunities to interact and speak towards the end of the formal program. You will be unmuted during the interactive portion of the honoring ceremony and during the post-event social hour. If you want to participate, please use the raise hand function or actually raise your hand. For the best viewing of this event, we recommend that you use the speaker view Zoom option. It is my extreme honor to introduce actor Jon Huertas, who will be delivering the opening remarks. You may recognize him as the character Miguel Rivas on NBC's critically acclaimed award-winning series, This Is Us. Or you may recognize him as the tough yet affable Detective Javier Esposito on ABC's hit dramedy, Castle. Jon is very proud of his performance as Sergeant Tony Poke Espera in HBO's miniseries Generation Kill. Being a veteran himself, Jon says that his Generation Kill character was the most meaningful role of his career. Currently, Jon has several TV, podcast, and film projects in various stages of development. Welcome, Jon Huertas.
Thanks, Jake. You know, someone told me the other day that they couldn't wait to get there so that they could see and hug their grandmother. Now, I could have been off color, but I said, maybe you should have spent enough time with her and hugged her enough when she was alive, because maybe you'll never see her again. Oops, big can of worms. What, you don't believe in heaven? No, I said. What about God? They asked me like I was some kind of villain or something. Well, these days, whenever someone asks me if I believe in God, I normally say, which one? Because there are over 5,000 gods being worshipped on the planet Earth right now. And as they start to tell me the one true, I start to giggle. I start to giggle as if they've told me that they saw a vampire or a werewolf. And then I say, you know what? No, I actually don't believe in any gods, especially yours. I've never seen one, not one God. I've never heard one speak to me or anyone else that I know, and I've never touched one, not one God of any faith or belief. But what I do believe in is you, because here you are standing right in front of me, talking to me. And I know that you are capable of showing love, and you're capable of doing amazing things for yourself and for others, because you are ultimately responsible for your own actions, just like I am. Now, if after that, they don't appreciate my answer and they keep pressing me, I just start laughing. I start laughing uncontrollably as if they're telling me the most ridiculous story that is so unbelievable that anyone telling it would just have to be absolutely fucking nuts. And then, well, they usually never ask me again whether or not I believe in God. So on this secular Day of the Dead, 2022, I want you guys to remember to believe in humanity and to approach your life with reason and with logic and with love and with especially laughter. Because when you're dead, you're just fucking dead. Now, please welcome the founders of Día Secular de los Muertos, Victoria de la Torre and Margaret Downey.
Gracias, Jon. Hola y bienvenido al Día de los Muertos Secular. Mi nombre es Victoria de la Torre. Soy co-creador del Día de los Muertos Secular y un board member del Freethought Society. Y hoy conmigo para co-organizar el evento está mi mentor y presidente de la Freethought Society, Margaret Downey.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. On behalf of the Freethought Society, welcome to the 2022 Dia de los Muertos Secular event. The Freethought Society is a 501c3 educational nonprofit organization that was founded almost 35 years ago. You can find us on the web at this website, ftsociety.org.
Margaret fundó la Freethought Society en 1993 y con placer me uní a la junta directiva 2 años después de que tuvimos nuestro primer Día de los Muertos secular en San Diego, California. Celebrar esta belleza tradición desde el punto de vista secular tiene la intención de darle a la comunidad de no-teístas hispanos una manera de continuar nuestros rituales tradicionales, pero sin religión. Nosotros queremos celebrar un día para honrar a sus seres queridos, recordar la herencia de antecesores y apreciar nuestra vida, pues la única que tenemos.
And this is why the event today is filled with loving reflections of the life and work of many Freethought, secular, and humanist heroes, family members, friends, and even our beloved pets. We hope you enjoy the program we offer you today.
Y ahora nos complace presentar uno de los organizadores de Día de los Muertos Secular, Benumea.
Hi, welcome to the Secular Day of the Dead 2022, El Día de los Muertos. I'm Benumea, and I'm one of the board members for this event. Again, bienvenidos. I was invited to talk about the cultural appropriation specifically related to the Day of the Dead. And I did a small keynote that I called Día de los Muertos, Cultural Appropriation as a Life and Death Matter. Here is the thing. The term cultural appropriation is relatively new, and although it's already well understood in the United States, in Latin America it's a very foreign concept. So very quickly, let me define cultural appropriation. ¿Qué diablos es cultural appropriation? Well, a very clear example is this image. It's a Native American young woman who is in a football stadium surrounded by fans of a team wearing headdresses as a costume. And it could be that those headdresses may be the most important honor that her tribe confers. And she sits there in silence, suffering because she's watching her culture reduced to a costume just for fun. That is what we're trying to avoid. We want to steer clear of cultural appropriation and make it cultural appreciation. That is our goal. And it might come down to three factors. One, what is the specific thing that you want to appreciate? Have you sought to understand it? Two, why? What is your intent of using it? Is it just for fun, or do you want to give it a deeper meaning? And three, did you reach out to people from that culture and make sure that they are okay with the way that you are using it? So in the Day of the Dead, let's start with the what. En el Día de los Muertos, everything has a symbolism. The marigolds, or cempasúchil, with their golden color, they guide the death. The food is what the loved one liked in life. The skulls represent them and represent us, the inevitability of death as part of life. Mictecacihuatl, Lady Micte, herself is really not a scary lady. She is the lady of Mictlán, the land of the dead. And again, she's not a bad entity. She just rules the land of the dead with her husband, Mictlanteculi, Lord of Mictlán. Right? In the original mythology, she presides the festivities of death. And with that, that's the ultimate celebration of life. You could say that the Day of the Dead actually has been appropriated multiple times already. Aztecs themselves might have appropriated it from other cultures. Then the Catholic Church, they appropriate everything and they change the dates to make it fit with the All Saints Day and All Souls Day from their calendar. And then contemporary Mexicans may appropriate it again, right? But let me tell you something about Mexicans. We do like to import traditions, even our own traditions. And I actually have an example of something that I like to call reverse cultural appropriation. So let me tell you about the wonderful, immemorial Day of the Day parade in Mexico City. An old parade, an old tradition that spans many, many years. And, thanks to accurate book record keeping, we know exactly how old it is. Because this ancestral parade began in the early 21st century, in the year of 2016. The natives of the new Tenochtitlan, or Mexico City, tell the tale of a living God who came down to Mexico City just 1 year before, in 2015. You may know him as Daniel Craig, or you may also know him as James Bond. This is not a joke. Well, maybe the part of Daniel Craig being a god, but that really depends on how you define God. But the part of the parade is really true. You see, in the movie Spectre, James Bond runs across Day of the Dead parade in Mexico City. But that parade never existed before. It was just created for the movie itself. It had never happened in Mexico City. But Mexicans went to watch the movie and they thought, that is really cool. Why don't we do this? And so in 2016, we held our first Day of the Day parade in Mexico City. 250,000 people. Total success. So it was repeated again and again and again. By 2019, 2 million Mexicans gathered to celebrate the Day of the Day parade in Mexico City. It's like we say, thanks, Hollywood. This is really cool. We'll take it from here. So let me tell you about a personal example. Cinco de Mayo. One Cinco de Mayo, I went to have dinner with some friends. I was in New York City, and we went to a restaurant in Manhattan. And the owner of the restaurant was having a Cinco de Mayo party in the middle of Manhattan. There were not many Mexicans in there. So we came in, and he sees me, and he says, "Hey, you're the first Mexican to come to our Cinco de Mayo party." And he's like, "Well, yeah, because we Mexicans don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. That is not a thing." And whatever, he says, let me give you some guacamole. It's on the house. And okay, because I'm Mexican, I'm supposed to like guacamole? I could have taken offense, but I actually took the guacamole. It was delicious. And the thing is that the guy was trying to connect for commercial reasons, very badly. But you could see the intent to reaching out was there. So let me give you one more example. You might recognize this one here. That is, or it's actually this one. That is actually happened in the secular Day of the Dead, 5, 6, 7 years ago, right? They gave us cardboards that we color and we wear our masks. And my girl, you can see her, she has her face painted, right? They were doing face paint. But let me be clear. Those are not Mexican traditions. We don't do that, right? I was in a Day of the Dead every year in my elementary school, and we never did cardboards, and we never put them as masks, and we never painted our faces. That's not what we do. But I thought, just as those Mexicans in Mexico City, I thought, hey, this is really cool. Why don't we do this? And guess what? Now, as today, I have used that same half day, half alive makeup multiple years. because it's really cool and it has a beautiful symbolism. But again, this is not something that I learned in Mexico. This is something that I learned in San Diego with Victoria. And just as the Day of the Day parade, I'm telling you, Victoria, thank you. This is really cool. And I'll take it from here. So let's appreciate the Day of the Dead. What pieces? All of it. Please grab all of it. Why? Because we have colorful altars, right? We honor our loved ones with the altars. We have sweet alfeñiques. We have papel picado that adds color to the room. We have delicious pan de muerto. Makeup, we really don't have that, but if you like it, yeah, let's wear it. It's actually really cool. Costumes, please wear them. In Mexico City, they started wearing them in 2016. Why not us, right? And calaveritas. Those are really cool, and we will talk about those a little bit in this event. But let's talk about why. Why are we doing this? Well, our intent is to connect between us, to connect with secular people, to connect between two nations or more nations, if you count all of Latin America, to connect between the living and the dead, or loved ones who have already passed away. So, to whom are you going to reach? Well, to all of us. And this is the thing. The Day of the Dead shouldn't be a Mexican holiday. It shouldn't even be a Latin American holiday. It should be a holiday for all humanity, because we are all connected through life and death. So, El Día de los Muertos is a colorful holiday that can inspire others around the world. Let's celebrar el Día de los Muertos. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Memo. Now we'll hear from the co-sponsor representatives, beginning with David Tamayo, who is not only representing Hispanic American Freethinkers as a co-sponsor, but also as a member of the Día de los Muertos Secular Planning Committee.
Hola, soy David Tamayo, presidente y cofundador de Hispanic American Freethinkers, HAFRE, una organización nacional latina de libre pensamiento y sin ánimo de lucro, establecida hace más de una década para servir a los 62 millones de hispanos que llaman a Estados Unidos su hogar. Habiendo tantas buenas organizaciones laicas y escépticas en Estados Unidos, ¿por qué hay necesidad de un HAFRE? ¿Por qué necesitamos a Hispanic American Freethinkers? Pues simplemente porque la religión y la superstición están amalgamadas y plenamente integradas en nuestras culturas hispánicas, a tal punto que el cuestionar la religión o las supersticiones es cuestionar nuestras culturas, nuestra gente, nuestras familias y nuestro propio ser. HAFRE se esfuerza en eliminar esas barreras que existen entre nosotros mismos y nos dividen y nos separan en alianzas ridículas de nacionalidad, religión, clase social, raza, orientación sexual y mucho más. HAFRE tiene como meta el avanzar la cultura de los latinos en Estados Unidos por medio de la ciencia y la razón, por medio de la educación y la curiosidad, y por medio del humanismo secular, al igual que la separación entre lo que es real de lo imaginario, con el propósito de tener un bien común para todos. HAFRE trabaja junto con todos los otros grupos laicos del país, ya que compartimos muchas metas en común, como la de promover la separación de iglesia y gobierno, al igual que la de educar a la gente a ser pensadores críticos, que cuestionan todos los dogmas y todas las afirmaciones sobrenaturales, y sobre todo, el fuerte apoyo a la libertad de conciencia para toda la gente. el Día Secular de los Muertos, es un ejemplo de cómo debemos tomar un día de fiesta que fue apropiado por los cristianos y volver a tenerlo como lo que era, un día para celebrar la vida, para enfrentar a la muerte con desafío. Ahora, en vez de ser un día religioso mexicano, puede y debe ser un día para celebrar la vida, no solamente para México, sino para el mundo entero. Y por eso Hafri está orgulloso de patrocinar este gran evento. Gracias por estar con nosotros en esta gran celebración.
Hi, I'm Robin Blumner, President and CEO of the Center for Inquiry. And first, I'd like to thank Margaret Downey for pulling together today's events. For those of you who don't know much about the Center for Inquiry, I'll be brief. CFI is a one-stop shop for the Enlightenment values of reason, science, and secularism. Unlike some other secular groups, CFI's focus is not solely on the separation of church and state, although we do plenty of work fighting for that. And we don't just focus on protecting the rights of the non-religious, although, again, we do a lot in that arena. But CFI's special contribution is our emphasis on skepticism, fighting against pseudoscience while promoting critical thinking and the scientific method. CFI's founders include such luminaries as Carl Sagan, Isaac Asimov, B.F. Skinner, James the Amazing Randi, and the great philosopher Paul Kurtz. That group arrayed more than 40 years ago. And to this day, CFI continues to stand for what the organization's founders represented, which is ending the nonsense that people believe without evidence and giving people the tools to think more critically and more rationally and helping them to expel the dogmas that they were born into. Whether it's challenging the extraordinary claims of religion or the science denial of anti-vaxxers and creationists, whether it's fighting the medical quackery that is homeopathy, or the con artists who claim to have psychic power, whether it's saving the lives of endangered atheists around the world, or teaching America's teachers how to teach evolution, CFI is there. We are there standing against theocracy. We are there standing up for science and critical thinking. We are in the nation's courts. We are in state legislatures, Congress, and even the United Nations. And of course, we're in science classrooms around the country. CFI has dozens of employees standing up for what you care about and representing who you are. So please go to centerforinquiry.org to find out more and join us if you're not a member. We'd just love to have you.
Hola, feliz Día Secular de los Muertos. Yo soy Dan Barker. Soy copresidente de la Freedom from Religion Foundation, la fundación para ser libre de la religión. Estamos muy honrados, agradecidos y emocionados de ser parte una vez más este año de la celebración del Día de los Muertos Seculares. Bienvenido y gracias por participar. Queremos dar un reconocimiento especial a Victoria de la Torre y a Margaret Downey. Ellas son cofundadoras y organizadoras del Día Secular de los Muertos. El Día Secular de los Muertos ofrece una forma humana y secular de conmemorar y honrar a nuestros seres queridos. Así como esta nueva tradición es libre de religión, la Fundación está trabajando por un gobierno laico, un gobierno libre de religión en los Estados Unidos, donde nuestras leyes públicas y nuestra política social no deben basarse en la Biblia ni en la religión de cualquier otra persona, sino en la razón, en la ciencia y en los valores seculares. Esos valores incluyen garantizar que la religión no invada nuestras escuelas públicas, ni nuestras habitaciones, ni nuestra atención médica, y especialmente que no invada las decisiones personales de atención médica. Y eso incluye el aborto y decisiones tales como cuándo y si convertirse en madre o en padre, y a quién amar o con quién casarse. La fundación tiene más de 38,000 miembros actuales en América del Norte y está trabajando para educar al público sobre los valores seculares y el no teísmo, así como para reparar el muro de separación entre la Iglesia y el Estado. Ese muro de separación está siendo desmantelado actualmente por la gran mayoría extremista en la Corte Suprema de los Estados Unidos. Si usted ya es miembro de la Freedom from Religion Foundation, gracias. Su membresía hace posible nuestro apoyo a este Día Secular de los Muertos y también todo el activismo de la Fundación, dentro y fuera de los tribunales, para contrarrestar el nacionalismo cristiano y restaurar el respeto de nuestra nación por el tan atesorado principio del laicismo. Si no es miembro, nos encantaría enviarle por correo o mandarle por email una copia gratuita de nuestro periódico Freethought Today. Y mandamos más información sobre nuestros 45 años de logros para promover el libre pensamiento y la libertad de religión. Simplemente haga clic en el enlace Ask for Info en nuestro sitio web en ffrf.org. Ahora, vamos todos juntos a celebrar el Día de Muertos Secular de 2022. Y no te olvides de votar.
Greetings from the American Ethical Union, the umbrella organization for the ethical societies in the United States. Ethical societies are groups of people who have come together to foster a more ethical culture, one that's compassionate and equitable, that brings out the best qualities of people and realizes the unique worth and dignity of each person. My name is Bart Worden, and I am the Executive Director for the AEU. Currently, we have 23 member societies in 10 states and in Washington, D.C. We're very pleased to be co-sponsors of the 2022 Secular Day of the Dead, as our communities share the belief in the importance of honoring those who have come before us and appreciating their contributions to our lives today and for those who will follow us in the future. Ethical humanism has been described as a religion of relationships, and our connections with one another are very important. Our hallmarks are our commitment to place deed before creed and to seek positive ways to address important concerns. We focus our attention upon how we live in this world and how we can grow in our capacity for good. Our actions are driven by two questions. How are we to live so that our actions foster a more ethical world? And how can we grow our capacity to bring out the best qualities of others and of ourselves? In looking for answers, we rely on real-world experience, informed by science and refined through critical thinking. We rely too on learning from others, and especially from others who have different ideas and experiences than our own, to cultivate a broader and deeper perspective on life and on living ethically. You can find more information on our website, aeu.org, and you are welcome to join any of the public meetings listed there, most of which can be accessed via Zoom. We are excited to be co-sponsors of the 2022 Secular Day of the Dead and hope you enjoy the experience.
Muchísimas gracias por su apoyo y también por sus mensajes de bienvenida. Pues ahora nos complace presentarles a nuestro orador, Fernando Alcántar. Fernando es director de compromiso estudiantil en la Universidad de Pennsylvania, Campus East Stroudsburg. En su servicio a los estudiantes desde una vista secular, él enseña que la vida puede ser plenamente vivida con felicidad y maravilla, cuando somos libres de disfrutar el ahora. Así, yo puedo estar eternamente curiosa por lo que me espera en el futuro. Bienvenido, Fernando.
El Día de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Largely originated in Mexico, it is a celebration of life and death in which families commemorate those loved ones who have passed away. My name is Fernando Alcántar, and in my book, To the Cross and Back, I talk about some of the experiences of growing up in Mexico, surrounded by some of the most colorful, ancient, and complex traditions. But what is Día de los Muertos, or Día de Muertos? A quick Google search will show you a very interesting imagery, including, I'm sure, some clips from the popular Disney Pixar movie, Coco. You see, growing up in Mexico at the end of October, we all knew it was time to start preparing for the meaningful holiday that would take place during the first 2 days in November. We start collecting old pictures from our loved ones who have passed on to add them to the ofrenda, the offering. Also, we get their favorite albums, their favorite snacks, their favorite dishes, cigarettes, booze, soccer jerseys, football, and other items that would remind us of the essence of those who are no longer with us. Calaveras. Skulls or skeletons might be the most recognizable symbol of the holiday, ain't it? You see them made in many shapes and forms. Some of them are made of paper mache, sugar paste, or carved out of wood and bone. But calaveras de azúcar, those were my favorite. Skulls made of sugar with colorful accents and designs, meaning that regardless of how ugly or deadly it can be, there's always sweetness in it. La Catrina. It is a female skeleton character usually dressed in fancy clothing, originally designed to mock those in the upper class. She warns us about vanity and to remind us that rich or poor, we all have the same finale. Ah, the makeup. Adults and children wearing black and white skeleton designs on their faces and bodies. Other than a great excuse to extend holiday for a little bit longer, it offers us the opportunity to make fun of death, to take away power from it, to say that we are not scared of you. Because humanity has found a way, in mass numbers, to cope with loss and to teach us invaluable, priceless lessons. It is the opportunity to help us grieve a little more and to remember that we've learned from those who came before us. Furthermore, it is an opportunity to remove the fear of death, to learn from and find gratitude in what we have experienced, and to substitute, if we can, the emptiness and our loss with the joy and lessons of their memory. On June 12th of 2016, over 300 people gathered at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando to celebrate the end of the weekend, to let loose and to feel as free as humanly possible. They danced, they drank, they laughed with loved ones, flirted with cute ones, and forgot for a few hours about the stress, obligations, and routine of daily life. Between 2:02 and 5:14 a.m., an armed man walked into Pulse and killed 49 people, 49 of those dancers, and wounded 53 others. Pulse was a popular spot for the gay community, which on that night celebrated Latin Night, the majority of the victims being gay and Latino. It is the second worst mass shooting by a single gunman in U.S. history, the second deadliest terror attack on U.S. soil since 9/11, and the greatest incident of violence against the LGBT community in America. We saw the images of red and blue lights in front of the iconic black and white sign with the P in the middle of the circle. We heard the desperate 911 calls.
Friend got shot in the bathroom. Ex-girlfriend is hiding in the bathroom at the club Pulse.
We read some of the frantic messages that victims sent to their loved ones while trapped inside.
Has that female in the bathroom said anything about the number of people that are in there?
We heard the forensic report and saw the televised funerals of the victims in the following days. We held vigils. We marched for our dead, to process grief, to try to disable fear, and to fill the void with joy in their memory. But my friends, sometimes, ain't it true? It is easier said than done.
Breaking news alert.
I woke up that Sunday morning, a few hours after the attack, and saw the news notification. Everyone was talking about it on social media, and something sunk in real quick. But it would take me a little bit longer to be able to put it into words and be able to verbalize it fully. As a gay Latino man, I still, in 2016, wasn't safe. I spent the next 3 years at least, every time I went for a night out in the New York City neighborhood, to places like Stonewall, constantly looking for the quickest way out. I would look around and I would be like, okay, I could jump behind that pillar, I could slide under those tables, I would try to avoid the bathroom, I would keep updating my escape plan as the crowd moved throughout the night. Fear can be incapacitating, and while death is a natural and inseparable part of life, we fear it. We don't understand it. And as a byproduct, we put it in the closet hoping that if I don't bother it, it's not going to bother me. But despite our greatest objections on the matter, it often knocks down on that door and reminds us just how fragile our very humanity can be. Every gay man in the world really was at Pulse that night. And in the traditions of my ancestors, of my people, I found solace and comfort as I tried to process my grief. For our dead, I try to accept it and to replace fear with gratitude. And I try to fill that space in the void of my sorrow with joy and lessons in their memory. Just a few short months after the attack, I invited and was able to host some of the survivors who were at Pulse that night, who ran and hid for their lives, who lost many of the people they loved very, very dear. I picked them up from the airport, we stopped for brunch, got them checked into the hotel, picked them up for the first and later the second program of the day, and then we went out for dinner after, before they went to bed, before going back to Orlando. And it was in those in-between moments, the car rides, the meals, the pauses between microphones and cameras, that they shared the stories of what they remembered and how they remembered it. They actually seemed surprised that I knew, or seemed that I knew in some ways, more details of what happened minute to minute, because while I was glued to the TV trying to figure out what happened and why it happened, they were still in shock. They were grieving and living the experience we were all talking about around the water cooler. While we were analyzing and thinking of what to do next, they were having funerals and saying their goodbyes. But I also learned, and this is actually what was most precious to me of everything, the behind the scenes stories of the people whose pictures just kept flashing on my screen. Often it seemed that they just forgot that I was there, and they just kept sharing story and story of the people they were proud of the people they enjoyed dancing with, of the people that they were able to figure things out with. We were proud of their achievements. We laughed at their quirks. We talked about how they ate and danced and flirted and farted, just like the rest of us. I sat there and felt for a moment that I was also at the party. They told me about how their mother was a big fruit fly, their biggest ally. She'd go to the gay clubs with them and dance the night away. And on that night, she threw her body over her own son to protect him from the bullet. And she did, hoping that he would have many more nights on the dance floor. Brenda, you will never be forgotten. They shared about how their friend started the first gay-straight alliance at his high school. He got an award for it. He was out and proud and was believed to go really far someday, an example to many. But on that night, him and his boyfriend just wanted to be boys and dance, as they deserved and as they should. And though both of their stories were cut short that night, their legacies keep shining. Drew and Juan, you will never be forgotten. Akira was an honor student, graduated third in her class, and she was on vacation in Orlando celebrating her graduation. Gilmari was married and was the mother of 2 sons. She was at Pulse that night with her brother-in-law William and their friend Kamui. Jonathan Kamui had transferred from Puerto Rico to work as a crew member on the Telemundo hit show, Levels Kids. Only William survived after being shot twice. Alejandro had just moved a year ago from Cuba, seeking a fresh start and a fruitful future. Tevin was voted West Iredell High's unsung hero. Corey wanted to be a firefighter. Juan Rivera had people driving over an hour just to get their hair done by this guy. And there are many, many more stories. And though we still mourn their loss, we also rejoice because they lived, because they made memories with us, and we made memories with them.
It's just like this wave washing over me again and again. It knocks me down, and when I try to stand up, it just comes for me again. And I can't. It's just gonna drown me.
No. No, it won't.
How do you know?
Well, because it can't all be sorrow, can it? I've always been alone, so I don't feel the lack. It's all I've ever known. I've never experienced loss because I've never had a loved one to lose. But what is grief, if not love persevering?
We grieved their departure because we rejoiced in their presence. Our lives were made better, were given significance, were given color because they were part of it. And we can't forget that. And did we learn? I visited Polls one day while visiting Orlando for a conference. It was now a makeshift memorial with images and cards and flowers, flags, banners, and stories of the victims. It became a sort of a pilgrimage destination for many who understood the impact of moments and spaces like this. While sitting and contemplating on the sidewalk, I noticed this young guy who walked around in sort of a daze. He kept going from side to side. He seemed just lost in thought and in distress. When I approached him, he shared that he used to visit Poles on a regular basis. So he was out in the Navy and was out on duty when the attack happened. And now, a few months later, it was the first time he was able to come back. He was shocked, broken, to see his old playground now just surrounded with a huge fence and yellow tape. And as we grieved over our dead, we talked about the significance of safe spaces like the one Poles used to be. Filled with emotion and tears on his eyes, he turned to me and said, "This is the place where I learned to be myself." I understood what he meant. A lot of other people in the world did as well, or so we thought. In a show of support, national monuments and landmarks around the globe pay tribute to the fallen victims, identifying them by a unifying symbol of 6 consecutive but different color stripes. The whole world lit up rainbow, and it was beautiful. We will never forget, we told ourselves. We understand now why safe spaces are important. And just a few years later, that same state that was heralded as a loving and accepting community after the attack, where everyone will now be equal and that would go out of its way to educate and welcome everybody, is now passing laws that prevent us from even saying the word gay. So, did we learn from our dead? So on this Day of the Dead, let us remember 3 big and important things. Number 1, La Catrina is coming, either we like it or not. Death is a natural and inseparable part of life, and so is grieving. We have the option of being incapacitated by fear, or we can welcome it, though not necessarily yield to it, but understand its place in our lives. And when she decides to come, just greet her like an old friend. 2, build an ofrenda to their memories. Remember the lessons we have learned from those who came before us, or perhaps we could be destined to repeat their mistakes. And we've had too many of those. And 3, if you have the option, make that skull out of sugar. Because however painful it may be at the time, we can't forget that we can't have the rose without the thorns, and we can't have the rainbow without the rain. There is sweetness in this life if we're willing to look for it, and we must be grateful for that. Because at the end of the day, let us also not forget that those 49 people and the other 300 plus lives that were opposed that night went there because they just wanted to have a good time. Pulse itself was created in 2004 by Barbara Poma, who named the club Pulse to honor her brother Jon, who had died of AIDS in 1991. The club had also become a hub for HIV prevention, breast cancer awareness, and immigrant rights. Barbara grieved, she learned, and then was able to turn that loss into joy for her and for many, many others. This way, Jon's pulse would live on. Let us remember those who fought for equality. Let us remember those who fought for peace. Let us remember the stories of those who inspired us, those who made discoveries that educated us, those who made us laugh, and those who challenged us, those who cared for us, and yes, those who danced with us. Thanks to them, we understand that we are free to love, free to live, and free to choose the path that we choose for ourselves. Let us not forget the beautiful, wonderful, and timeless lessons from our dead. So hopefully, us as well can keep that pulse beating. Happy Day of the Dead, and thank you.
Wow. Gracias, Fernando. Como en años anteriores, tú siempre nos has dado mucho en qué pensar y apreciar. Sinceramente, muchas gracias por compartir con nosotros este video. Ok. Ahora tomaremos un pequeño receso de 5 minutos mientras disfrutamos de la música de Caneco Leiva y su esposo Juan Antonio García Hernández con interpretaciones instrumentales de La Llorona y La Bruja. Caneco es una flautista sobresaliente y Juan Antonio un experimentado saxofonista de banda y jazz. Si estás dejando el cuarto para el receso, te recomendamos subir el volumen para que disfrutes la música de Caneco y Juan Antonio.
Hola de nuevo. Seguro que disfrutaron de La Llorona tanto como yo. Muchas gracias, Caneco y Antonio. Antes de empezar el segmento en el que honraremos a nuestros seres queridos, quiero decirles de otra tradición del Día de los Muertos, las calaveritas. Esta es posiblemente una de las tradiciones más interesantes del Día de los Muertos. Verán, los mexicanos tenemos fama de reírnos de la muerte, de todo, de la personificación de la muerte, de la calaca, de la huesuda, de la flaca y del inevitable momento en el que nos la vamos a encontrar. Y la calaverita es un poema pequeño que hace burla de ese momento, escrito en precisamente son de burla. Y simplemente no podíamos tener un Día de los Muertos sin calaveritas. Así que escribí una calaverita para nuestros organizadores. Espero que les guste. Calaveritas para el Día de los Muertos Secular 2022. La muerte llegó de sorpresa a este evento, ocasionando uno que otro desmayo, y preguntó con su ronco acento, ¿dónde está David Tamayo? David le rogó a la flaca por su vida y la convenció de jugar ajedrez. ¿Y si yo te gano la partida, me dejas vivir otro mes? Y aunque él en la tierra fue campeón, la victoria de la muerte fue ancha. Vienes, y sin gritar, al panteón. Allá te doy la revancha. A Margaret se dirigió la fulana. No temas, sé que te gustan los disfraces. En el más allá, toda la semana, tenemos música y fiestas con antifaces. Así que vente, nos vamos de viaje. No necesitas llevarte beliz. Allá tenemos máscaras y maquillaje. Verás que allá serás muy feliz. La calaca también se llevó a Victoria, con su colección de libros de antigüedad. Libros de poesía, de novelas e historia que le daban a Vicky mucha felicidad. Y mientras Crescencio su carro reparaba, la huesuda por detrás se le acercó. Como él música de trova escuchaba, no se dio cuenta cuando faros chupó. Y Memo, no sé cómo, a la flaca convenció que su telescopio le dejara conservar. Así que cargó con él cuando falleció para desde Mictlán las estrellas observar. Y así, desde el más allá, agradecemos su presencia. Les deseamos una vida con fiestas y conciertos. Y esperamos que esté disfrutando la audiencia nuestra celebración secular del Día de los Muertos. Gracias.
Vaya, bastante interesante y algo que yo no conocía de la tradición de las calaveritas. Muy gracioso y bastante artístico el hacer este tipo de poesías. De nuevo, muchas gracias, Memo. Ahora vamos a comenzar el segmento de la ceremonia para honrar a los seres queridos. Y pues como estoy hablando yo, voy a empezar con mi amigo, el doctor Héctor Ábalos, el que muchos de ustedes tal vez conocieron, el cual murió en abril del año pasado. Este era mi amigo Héctor, con sus lentes, recibiendo un premio. Héctor era ateo, profesor de religión en Iowa State University, antropólogo, autor de muchos libros, esposo de nuestra querida amiga Cynthia Ábalos, pero ante todo, él era un gran humanista y un buen amigo para muchísimas personas. De raíces humildes y adoctrinación pentecostal, así comenzó él, Héctor se levantó por medio de la educación para graduarse de la Universidad de Arizona primero y para luego obtener su doctorado de la Universidad de Harvard. Se puede escribir uno o más libros sobre la vida de este buen hombre. En la foto, como vimos, tiene sus famosos anteojos redondos que desafortunadamente ahora tengo yo. Esos son sus lentes. Pero no quiero hablar de lo que ustedes pueden fácilmente encontrar en el Internet. Quiero hablar del hombre que me tocó el corazón. Nadie es perfecto y seguramente Héctor tenía varios defectos, pero eso es lo que lo hace humano y lo que lo hace un gran ejemplo para mí y para todos. Héctor siempre mostró un gran nivel de honestidad académica increíble. Hace unos años, en Hispanic American Freethinkers, le quisimos brindar el honor de ser el primer latino en recibir el premio al logro de toda la vida. Este es el premio. Y como yo me gradué hace muchos años de la George Washington University, me puse en contacto con los directores de los departamentos de religión y antropología para hacer la presentación en la universidad. Increíblemente, los dos directores se negaron a permitir que el evento se llevara a cabo en la universidad por razones personales de ellos. Por teléfono, los dos me dijeron casi lo mismo, que cada uno de ellos había escrito un libro que Héctor prácticamente destruyó con evidencia demostrando que esos libros estaban errados o presentados a medias, haciendo quedar muy mal en sus campos de estudio a estos dos profesores. Y cuando le conté a Héctor las conversaciones, se rió y me dijo, bueno, parece que todavía les duele que les haya demostrado sus errores, pero igual los dos me caen muy bien porque trabajan en lo que a mí me gusta. Héctor siempre estuvo dispuesto a conversar conmigo cada vez que yo lo llamaba o lo necesitaba. Siempre fue un gran humanista al cual nunca oí hablar mal de nadie. Fue un gran pensador de gran corazón, el cual siempre fue muy generoso. Cuando el fin de su vida era visible en un horizonte cercano, Héctor le donó a Humphrey los derechos y fondos para que Humphrey publicara el audiolibro de su primer y único libro en español escrito por él. Este es ese libro. El año pasado quise presentar acá, en el Día de los Muertos, algo más completo sobre este gran hombre, pero mis emociones aún estaban muy frescas. Eventualmente tendré el coraje de editar y mostrar la última entrevista que le hice a Héctor en su casa cuando sabía que la muerte se le acercaba rápidamente. Tenía una gran paz y, como muchas personas en su situación, estaba desilusionado que se le había acabado el tiempo para hacer aún más cosas. Adoró a Cynthia, su esposa de muchos años, la cual estuvo a su lado hasta el momento que tuvo su último respiro. Deseo que el mundo sea como Héctor, el educador, el amigo, el humanista secular. Por todo lo dicho hoy, le doy gracias a la vida por poner a Héctor en mi camino. Y enciendo esta vela que tengo acá en honor a mi amigo Héctor Ábalos. Ok, ahora en los siguientes minutos tendremos al doctor Salvador León, poeta y fotógrafo, y Bonnie Servin. Okay, parece que no. Entonces voy a leer la introducción que él había presentado, que él nos envió. Mi nombre es Salvador León, soy un artista mexicano y actualmente vivo en Tijuana, México. Estudié fotografía en Santa Bárbara, California, y luego obtuve mi maestría y doctorado en artes. Llevo más de 20 años haciendo fotografía y poesía. He realizado muchas exposiciones en museos y galerías de México y Estados Unidos. El video que están por ver es sobre un altar que hicimos para el Día de los Muertos. En el video verán música que está tocando la Catrina, mi esposa, con la guitarra, y ella está tocando una canción tradicional, Amor Eterno, una famosa canción de un artista mexicano, Juan Gabriel, que habla sobre la partida de un ser querido. Dentro del video, leí algo de poesía y verás algunas fotos que tomé que encajan con el contenido de la poesía. El enfoque principal del video, poemas, canciones y fotos, está relacionado con mi padre. Él falleció cuando yo tenía 8 años, por lo que este altar y especialmente este video es una forma de homenajearlo. La muerte de mi padre influyó tanto en mi vida que fue la razón principal por la que me convertí en artista. Espero que disfruten el video y si tienen preguntas al respecto me encantaría responderlas más adelante. Muchas gracias por mirar el video. Atentamente, Salvador León.
Padre, ante ti me detengo. En la orilla de tu sueño profundo, miro mis ojos en tus ojos ciegos. Acerco mi rostro y palpo con tu silencio las aguas de este viaje. A solas, el pensamiento huye. Gotas grises, flores frescas sembramos sobre tu cuerpo. Me veo ante el espejo y tus ojos ciegos me miran desde mi rostro. Somos ya un eco sin retorno. Es la muerte el fin de las cosas, y el silencio se abre como la flor que abre sus pétalos, y su ola inunda mi voz infantil y diurna. No hay preguntas para un padre muerto, solo brotan palabras de ceniza. Ver un ataúd es adentrarse al fondo de un espejo, ascender sin peldaños la escalera que desciende hacia mí mismo, ser la piedra arrojada hacia el estanque. Una máscara cubre nuestra cara, y sus rasgos nos arañan como un río seco. Esa misma máscara la llevan mis hermanos y por más que lo intentan, no se la pueden arrancar. Mamá esboza una sonrisa en medio de esta tormenta de sosiego, con el mismo gesto enmascarado que nos hiere cada vez que sonríe. Lejos de casa, la foto de los abuelos se ha esfumado. Mi padre abandonó esta fotografía para fumar un puro al aire libre. Mis primos jóvenes corrieron con la misma suerte que mi padre. La herencia de las balas y el silencio son parte de mi estirpe. Colgado de una pared, mi padre yace cautivo en un ataúd de cristal. El ataúd que desde aquel día no me atrevo a sepultar. Vagan perdidas las miradas y el fiel silencio de mi madre. De pronto se escucha una melodía que brota desde el fondo de la sala, una melodía en blanco y negro, desde el interior de un acordeón en llamas. La ausencia de mi padre se siente en el sillón. Alegre abre una botella y sacude la sonrisa abatida de mis hermanos. La máscara se resiste a caer y poco a poco despelleja nuestro rostro ensombrecido. Te hablo a ti, Antonio, Padre mío, para que de nuevo abras tus brazos y albergues al niño que yo fui. Para ti, Padre, son estas palabras que nunca antes pude pronunciar.
Tú eres la tristeza de mis ojos, que lloran en silencio por tu adiós. Me miro en el espejo y veo en mi rostro el tiempo que he sufrido por tu adiós. Oscura soledad estoy viviendo, la misma soledad de tu sepulcro. Tú eres el amor del cual yo tengo el más triste recuerdo de acá.
Well, thank you, Salvador and Bonnie. We are now going to offer those who want to participate in the live honoring ceremony the option to present in the Spanish breakout room. And I will be hosting the English room where you can just stay put for that. Victoria will be hosting the Spanish breakout room. On the screen in just a moment, we will show you the method of getting into the Spanish language room. The instructions are set to music, and when the music ends, the rooms will officially open. Hi, now we've come to the interactive part of the ceremony to honor deceased loved ones. All are welcome to participate, but please be aware that the Zoom time slot will automatically cut in after 4 minutes. The first slot was reserved by Karen Moore from San Diego, California. She is honoring the lives of her parents today. We're going to spotlight Karen if we can find her.
I don't see her right now on the Zoom.
Oh dear. Well, I'll try to email or text her and find out if she can join us later. The next person is Donna L. Croquette from Morris, Minneapolis, and she has reserved the next honoring ceremony spot. She also created a slideshow, which we will share with everyone now. Welcome, Donna.
Okay, I am Donna Charlotte, it's pronounced. and I'm a retired anthropology professor. And I imagine most of the people here today are going to be talking about loved ones that they knew, people that were near and dear to them. I'm indeed going to talk about somebody I never met. In fact, the person is not even alive, and he died in 1913. And I originally put this together for the Spanish room, and then I found out I was going to be in the English room. So what I will do is translate the Spanish that you'll see on the screen into English. This particular presentation is going to be very brief, probably only a couple of minutes long. The reason I chose Jose Guadalupe Posada is because I so admired the person that he was. And I cannot do a justice to him here in these few minutes, but I want to just hit some highlights. He was born in 1853, and many consider Posada the founder of modern Mexican art. And perhaps he's best known for his calaveras. Much of his artwork involved calaveras. Next slide, please. Here he is at a little older age. He was a political commentator, and he was extremely intelligent and creative. And he used, can you go back one, go forward one? He used the calaveras as satire and as political critique, and that's why I particularly appreciated his contributions. Being a Mexicanist myself, much of my work and time was spent in Mexico, I really came to appreciate what a humanist he was and how much he contributed to Mexican art. Next slide, please. His career began as a caricaturist, and all of his caricatures were really very political. Often they were directly directed at people in government or political individuals, and they were done as a critique of those individuals. He began working as under tutelage of his teacher and was drawing caricatures for a magazine called El Jicote, which translates to the bumblebee. And his caricatures created such an uproar that even he and his professor were forced to flee the village they lived in because of the wrath that engendered in the people they were directed at. He also ended up being thrown in jail 2 or 3 times because his caricatures were that polemic. And I think, you know, being able to express that kind of political critique of a system that he was definitely opposed to says a lot for him. Next slide, please. We've heard much already about the Calavera Catrina, and this is probably one of his most famous caricatures. And he really used this image to satire the very wealthy classes. And this was done during the dictatorship of Porfirio Diaz. Diaz was a very cruel dictator, and it took the Mexican Revolution in 1910 to overthrow Porfirio Diaz. But much of his criticism was directed toward him. Next slide, please. He is attributed with having educated the public over political injustices that era. And being an individual who has always fought against social injustice, his work was very near and dear to my heart. He printed and distributed the translation here was his periodicals, but they were not journals. They were often referred to hojas volantes or they were flyers. And sometimes he made these huge posters and he would distribute them on the streets and sell them for a centavo each. And I think this imagery was important because it often he was able to speak to a public that was largely illiterate. And so he was able to reach into the hearts and minds of the common people. And I think that his messages had a deal of influence. I'm not sure, do I have one more slide? His objective was really to show that in life, everybody's equal. And in death, everybody is equal. It didn't matter what your economic status was. It did not mean have anything to do with your position in life. But I think what comes through all of this is a key message that death is a great equalizer, and it doesn't pardon anybody. So again, this is very brief, but I felt very passionate about it and felt like I wanted to share that. Thank you.
That was wonderful. I have a lot of caricature friends, the artists that I know, and I'm going to educate them about this fascinating man. Thank you so much. So is there anyone else who would like to speak? I'm looking for raise.
Bart would like to, Bart Warren.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome, Bart. Is he unmuted and spotlighted?
There we go. I wasn't able to unmute before. So I did want to light a candle for Elle Miller, who was the director of administration at the American Ethical Union for a good many years and the loving husband of Sean Carson. He sadly died suddenly in February of this year, leaving behind a legacy of many friends and many important things for the American Ethical Union in terms of keeping our administration up and running, and had a real passion for ethical culture and for finding ways for our organization to thrive. So we miss him dearly, and I'm very happy to be able to show you his picture tonight.
Thank you, Bart. He looks so young. What a loss.
Yes, he died suddenly and unexpectedly.
What a loss to our community. Thank you for honoring this person, and we appreciate the picture as well. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? I don't, if you want to use the raise hand function, I might be able to see you better. I'm scrolling through the attendees. And if
for those who don't know how to use that function, go to reactions, click on the reactions button, and then below the last option will be raise hand. Oh, we got one. Kelly, I will Kelly, you can unmute yourself and I will yeah, as unmute. There you are. Can I? Oh, I saw her.
Oh, can you see? Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Let me just
I want to spotlight you, Kelly.
There we go. We got you.
Okay. Have a candle lit for my mom. That's the picture here. I lost my mom unexpectedly and suddenly in May. And this is my first time attending or, really even trying to educate myself about the Day of the Dead. So I appreciate you guys having this event. And allowing me the opportunity to honor my mom.
She was a lovely woman. And you gave a beautiful tribute to her. Could you tell us a little bit more about her, what she did in life?
Sure. She worked over 40 years for the Library of Congress. In Washington, D.C. She was a cartographer, so she helped the library digitize a lot of the records that are in their archives. But she also loved to dance. She did line dance and belly dance and all kinds of dance most of her life. And she loved to sew. She played tennis, she crocheted, she knitted, and she was just a really sweet lady.
And she has a really sweet daughter too.
Thank you.
Thanks for attending. Let me see if I can find some more raised hands. Do you see any? Jake?
Not right now. I only see a couple of people with their video turned on. Oh, we got 3. Surya is the first one I saw. I'm sorry for saying your name wrong, but let's get a spotlight on you.
Hi, I'm Soraya or Suraya to my Hispanic family or Suraya to my Arab family. And I wanted to speak briefly and honor my friend Thomas Chaney, who passed in August of 2017. He died suddenly, unexpectedly as well, and passed 2 months after I'd had my son. And he had spent months prior to my son's birth creating an amazing room for him with a giant tree and all the animals that we could think of. And we had like a reality side that was very kind of forest creatures, and then the fantasy side where we had a dragon and Gonzo the Great. And I like to say that he painted himself in a corner because he painted a peg of corn that's pink. And my son's asleep, otherwise I'd show you. But he literally brought so much color to my life in so many ways. And one way is when we married in 2015, husband and I, he painted, I don't know how to flip my camera around. I think let's do this.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
Out of love, we used to care of each other. And we're birthday twins, but I was 2 years older. And even though we were only a few years apart, I was kind of a mom to him. He was raised in a rural part of Kentucky with parents that didn't understand or accept him. So when he turned 18, he moved to Lexington, and that's when we met and became family. And for our wedding, he painted hundreds of decorative bottles. I can't really show you them right now because they're up high, but he created his painting just because I loved it. Interesting. He loved.
Wow.
He was gay, but loved women and strong women, and he would, always kind of compare me to what he considered to be warrior women. So kind of that for me. And then one night, and the next day that he wanted to finish it, and I told him there was nothing to finish. It was perfect. And my husband just brought me one of the bottles that he created, literally painted over 100 of these. And I was always worried that I was taking advantage of him because he did so much physically, but he said that I took care of him in a number of ways. He was always too nervous to drive, so I would get up at 5:30 in the morning and take him to work across town, and I'd pack his lunch for him, and I just did all these things that he deserved to have as a child that he never did, and is a goddamn shame that he passed at 35 years old, and he deserves to be here right now. And thank you for letting me speak on him and tell you what a wonderful person he was.
Thank you for sharing his art and his life and how much he meant to you. It was really why we do this event, so that you can honor his life. And I was so impressed with the art, and I'm sure all of our viewers are too. That was wonderful of you to walk around and focus on that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly. Did you say that you saw other hands up, Jake?
I did. I see two. One I believe is our co-host Christine Jones. She might be on the other on her other account, the one that she's been doing the subtitles for. With that out. That and Kathleen Wilsbach.
Hi.
Hi, Kathleen.
I'm Kathleen Wilsbach. I live in Baltimore and am a member of the Baltimore Ethical Society. And I'd like to remember my mom. Sorry. She died last December, a day short of her 97th birthday.
Wow.
And she was 8 out of 9 children from Irish Catholic immigrants. And I was her 8th child. She had 9. She was 8 out of 10. And she didn't get to go to college. She was very smart. But she was a lifelong learner and was always reading, and she read the newspaper every day. Her whole adult life, she wanted to know what was happening in the world. And some of my happiest memories are watching Masterpiece Theater with her every Sunday night. That was a family tradition. So thank you very much. Her name was Isabel Wilsbach. And actually, this is the folder that we made when she died. She played the French horn in her high school marching band. And my other happy memory of her is I got to go with her to Ireland and take her to visit the graves of her grandmother and grandfather, and to see the school where her mother went as a child.
Yeah, she looks stuck right now.
In the picture is my cousin.
Oh, there we go.
And her cousin, Mary Farrelly, who was a child of one of my grandmother's siblings who stayed behind in Ireland. So a lot of them emigrated, but two of them stayed behind. And so we had a wonderful, wonderful time on that trip. And I never heard her laugh so much. So, oh, here's a picture of my mom laughing.
Oh, that's sweet. What part of Ireland did she visit?
Could you turn that back on? I can't hear Margaret.
What part of Ireland?
She was from Cavan, County Cavan, which is up in the north on the border with Northern Ireland. It's the northernmost part of the Republic and one of the poorest counties. So a lot of people emigrated from Cavan, and there isn't a lot of castles and stuff to see up there, so it's not really usually included on tour map.
Well, she lived a very long and wonderful life, and you certainly loved her, and looked like so many people loved her too. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciated getting to know your mom.
Thanks, Margaret.
Thank you. Jake, did you say there was a few more?
Yep, I would say we have Hyder was there, and then ZO. Hyder, would you like to share something, or just need you to put on your video to?
Yeah, I'm gonna just actually spontaneously, hold on, let me just switch out to my camera on so we can see myself. Hello guys, wasn't anticipating doing this, but actually going through this has been kind of overwhelming because my godmom, my paternal aunt, Nayar Wajid, she passed away right around the time of the the event that happened at the Capitol, January 6th. And she was an inspiration to me, actually. I just have one picture of her I'll just share spontaneously. I hope you folks can see this. This is her and all her students. She was she's right there in the middle in the white. She was struck by a truck when she was a young child and had really badly damaged leg, but that didn't stop her. In fact, it set her on fire, because since then we come from a very politically active family for social justice. And I'm from Pakistan originally. I'm secular, but was raised Shia Muslim, and I'm very much part of my culture. And I love this, being able to share this, because I didn't realize the feelings I would end up having. She was a nationally renowned artist, and actually recognized among the famous artists of Pakistan when she passed on, or before she passed on. And her funeral was an event to behold, because student from years and years, they came to really honor her passing. And she was a very inspiring person. And since then, I've really just leaned into this movement of sustainability and human justice, and just love all the work everybody's doing, and just been enjoying just leaning into whatever I can do, all thanks to my godmom. And I just want to say thank you, everybody, for helping me find a way to grieve without having to compromise my humanist values. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Hyder. That was a beautiful statement. And it reinforces that we are doing a good service to people that have dead loved ones that they really want to honor. And, that's our afterlife. So your mom sounds, your godmom, I think.
My aunt, yes.
Yes, your aunt.
Yeah.
And she sounds like a remarkable person, an artist. Maybe next time you can show us some of her work.
Yeah, I wish I was prepared. I was not anticipating, because I've been doing a lot of the work with this. Thank you for, by the way, including me in this, Margaret.
Yes.
I just didn't anticipate. Oh, I think Kathleen is trying to show confronting thoughts about death that have nothing to do with God. Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's a book by Greta Christina.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm aware of Greta. That's a terrific book. Thank you. Highly recommend it to people. Do we have any others on board?
Yes, we do. Zed.
Hi, Zed.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I really love this. I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness, never celebrating any holidays. And I always imagined something kind of like this instead of the tacky stuff that goes on for Halloween. I like the more traditional things that happen in other cultures. I too, it's funny, the last person, I'm going to be spontaneous and remember my aunt. Her name was Lana Blackburn. I don't have any photos of her. My dad, he won't give me any. I don't know what went on between them, but let's see, she died probably almost 10 years ago, I would say. And I've been fortunate enough to not know too many people that have been very close to me who have died. and she and I weren't close, only because she lived out here and I grew up in California, and I grew up in Colorado. And there was this one time we visited her, though, in the hospital. I think this was the same year that she died. And she was only in her early 60s, but she had a lot of mental health problems. And I think she hoarded a little bit. So she got an infection and died that way. But I felt a bond with her in the hospital. She was gay, and my family never really accepted her. I think my grandparents and most of my family are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I myself am trans. So I think she saw something in me at the hospital that day. And I really wish I could have known her. And I wish my family was more respectful of how I feel about her. And let's see. So she was Lana Blackburn. What else about her? Oh, so I remember getting a call from my mom a few months after she died, and she's like, "You'll never believe this, but you were the second on the will for Aunt Lana's house." And it was like, what? Her caretaker got it, but because she never had a life partner or anything. But that was kind of my proof that I had that she agreed that she saw something in me that she saw in herself. And I like to imagine what she was like. I know she went to college. I'm not sure what for. I am going to pry the details out of my family one of these days. But I just remember she would call us sometimes, and I would pick up the phone and I would hear her voice. And apparently she would call us asking for money, but and who knows, maybe she was a terrible person, but I don't really care. She was my dad's sister and she deserves to be honored. So I'm going to light a candle for Lana Blackburn. Thanks everybody for doing this.
That was absolutely beautiful. And you know, you have really a life lesson in her memorial, and that is to not be prejudiced and not be bigoted and short-sighted, and that family and love should conquer all. I'm sorry your family has alienated her, even in her death. It's a shame. But you did a very nice job remembering her and sharing with us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have we any other people wanting to talk?
Yes, we have, it says Donna Charlotte on there, Christina, and I also am on the list too.
Great. Oh, you need to unmute, dear.
Lower left corner. Yep, you're still muted. It should be next to, if you're on the computer.
I
Next
just popped a request on your screen, sir. Yeah. It'll say ask, just hit unmute when you see it. You should have a screen pop up to unmute. Maybe we can move to Christina until we're waiting for Donna.
Or maybe
Oh, you got it. You got it. There we go.
Hey, okay. Obviously, I'm not Donna. I'm her partner, and I'm just shoehorning in on her link because I didn't get my RSVP link until just a few minutes ago. So anyhow, here I am. But thank you for this wonderful event. And I was sitting here dwelling in memory of my parents. My father, who died 70 years ago, my mother died 60 years ago. And it's easy enough to remember their names. It's easy enough to look at a photograph. But what is important to me is that I can feel them. I can feel their essence. And that essence is still within me. And that's what's important to me, because they are still truly a part of me, a reality within me. And so on this occasion, I honor them, as I do with a lot of my dear friends who have passed. And so thank you for this event.
Would you like to say anything more about your parents? What life lessons did they teach you?
Oh, that's part of my sadness because my father was 50 years old. My mother was 40 years old when I was born. So I never really got to know them as adults. So I really didn't know their adult life, but I can only kind of speculate or interpolate. They were agnostic or atheist to be sure. So I did not have to suffer the Sunday school routine of a Christian belief system. They were very political. They were Finnish immigrants, very involved in a cooperative society. And those are my life lessons. And maybe the other thing that I gained from them, because I was able to think differently, is that I'm also a green burial advocate. I have been for the last 15 years. And in some ways that makes so much sense in terms of honoring the cycle of life and being able to return back to the earth and being part of existence forever and ever.
Tell us a little bit about the green burial. I know a little, but not as much as you.
Well, the green burial movement has been around probably 20, 30 years here in the US. Started in the Netherlands and the Great Britain. But it's essentially a rule of thumb: no embalming, no opulent casket that has made out of toxic materials, and certainly no concrete vault, a simple burial.
Excellent, excellent. And that's readily available to people who search it out.
Well, it's not readily available, but there is a movement across the country, all the way from New Jersey to California, Florida to probably Vermont.
Very good advice. We're all going to die, so we might as well think about and talk about what the options are.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Christina. Christina, you put your video on, I can spotlight you. There we go.
Oh, there's my background.
Yeah, there we go.
The one that I was supposed to use for the. Anyway, I wanted to. Well, I was so preoccupied in doing the captions that I wasn't even thinking until just now. And everybody here has inspired me to commemorate a very good friend and a tour de force in the secular community. I don't know if I can. Oh, let me just undo this background so you can actually see what I'm showing you. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna cancel this virtual background. And then maybe you can see, but this is Bobby Kirkhart, and she's here. She lived here in Los Angeles. She died a year ago on Halloween. So we commemorated her 1 year anniversary of her death with her family on Sunday, had her family at her house here. But she was an incredible, powerful force in the secular community here. She created all kinds of community in Los Angeles and has a beautiful Victorian home that she bought specifically for as a community center. And people from all over the world have come and stayed from many countries, many continents all over the world, secular friends and all over the country. And some of us have even lived here. I actually, while I was having a difficult time in a major life change, I moved from Orange County, California into Los Angeles, and she let me stay at her house for 1 year. And this is just typical Bobby. Many people, others have done that as well. So yeah, she was not only the organizer and president of Atheists United here in Los Angeles, but she was also the president at some point of Atheist Alliance International back in the day. So that's our friend Bobby, and yeah, just so much more to say, and so many memories that she's left quite a legacy here in our secular community. Both locally and nationally and internationally.
And you went on a trip to the Antarctica with her, did you not?
Yes. So she decided to give her daughter a birthday gift, or a gift of an Antarctic trip to see the penguins. and had her daughter's entire family, her daughter and her son-in-law and her 2 grandchildren. And then another family member was going to go, and that family member canceled. And she invited me to go to Antarctica. And for me, that was, I've traveled a lot, but that was the most amazing trip of my entire life. So I have her to thank for that experience. I would never have had that experience otherwise. So it was, yeah, a tremendous trip. So, yeah.
I saw the pictures.
Yeah. All the millions of penguins in the background. It was fantastic. Mhm.
Well, I was the president right after Bobby was the president of the Atheist Alliance International. And so her footsteps were hard to fill, but we all loved Bobby. And thank you so much for reminding us all about how generous and helpful she was, and her energy and her love of our community. Thank you.
And your paths crossed many times. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you, Christina.
So, like Hyder, I wasn't planning on doing this either, but I was just moved by everyone. Also, shout out to Zed with his dog. His dog is doing the same thing that my tiny dog also does as well, whereas when they feel like they need comfort, they come and lick your face. So I identify with that a lot. But as someone mentioned before about how sometimes you may have pictures and memories of loved ones, but you really feel them. I have the same thing with my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, who passed a couple of years ago, and fortunately, I wasn't able to be with her when she passed at the end. I was starting a new job, but I remember, but the last conversation I said with her, because they asked if I want to speak with her, and it was hard knowing that she was going to die, but I knew that I would regret if I didn't say something to her at the end. And we only spoke for a couple of seconds, and the last thing she said to me was "beautiful boy." And wow, it's getting emotional, but just no matter what she was going through, she just always was just so loving, and we had a great service where one thing I included, where we had a family friend who was the rabbi, mentioned that she kind of appeared like a Hollywood starlet, like not like actresses now, but like in the 40s and 30s, like she had a larger than life personality, like gave me a Lucille Ball vibe thinking of it. She was a smaller woman like my mom. My mom's 4'11". She was maybe around 5 feet, 5'3", but she had these massive fur coats that took up her entire body and would give me big hugs. And she always sent us tangerines and oranges because, like many Jewish grandparents, they would always go to Florida for the winter. So they would always send us the goodies that we missed up in New York. And one thing she would always send me that I love, that my wife always thought smelled bad, was these like packaged edamame snacks. I mentioned I liked it once, and she would always send it to me. And fast forward years later, after she passed, I did a road trip with my wife and her cousins. They're living in England, and we drove from New York all the way to Orlando for Universal, which was a lot of fun. We went to a random grocery store, and when I was there, I saw it and I just started welling up. And it was just a memory, just like what I just see Donna on the screen. I know his name's not Donna, but I see Donna, what he mentioned about just a memory, and I just went straight to her, and I just felt like I just had her watching over me. And it's always hard to lose someone, but I was fortunate to have my grandparents in my life as long as I did, and just to know so much about them. And yeah, just knowing her story and talking to my mom about the woman that I didn't know and the woman I did know it's fantastic.
That was beautiful. I got the visual of this woman in the fur coat and the
Yes.
bear hugs. Oh, she must have been so special. Do you have pictures of her at your home?
I do. I actually do take a page out of Hyder's playbook. Share my screen. I found on my mom's Facebook page. Can everyone see?
Oh yeah. Now, which one is she?
She's the one on the right, in the white. In the middle is my mom, her oldest daughter, and then my grandfather, her husband, who I'm actually going to see this weekend, Sai, and knowing about their life. And yeah, she actually started, I don't think she went to college. She was a lifelong learner as well. She started her own purse and handbag business, had bags actually sold in Macy's, like stuff like that, which I was very impressed with. And also she knew her way around stocks. My dad used to say lightheartedly she was a day trader, always made her angry, but she was fantastic with stocks. She had great advice. Me and my wife just thought like, oh, we wish we had her to give advice now as we're looking into stocks, but she was a wizard with that stuff. She always knew what to invest. She always tell my grandfather, hey, this is the money I need. I know this is going to work. She would always have CNBC in the background, watching the stock market. She was just prolific. She was also just a lifelong learner that whatever she wanted to do, she did. And I will stop sharing.
Sounds great. Wish I'd have known her.
Yeah, she was a fantastic woman. Why am I having trouble? Oh, there it is. It's a fantastic woman, but say one thing that, sorry to go over, but one line, their song, Macklemore, rapper, said that you die twice. First time you're in the grave, the second time when no one says your name. And so really, to me, all about legacy. And for people in my life, for the people I'm fortunate to have now, for people that have passed, no matter what, they will always cement themselves on who they are. So while you never want to lose anyone, they're never truly lost. And it might sound cheesy, but you just think about them. You just think of what makes you smile, what makes you well up, and just what makes them to you.
That was beautifully said. Excellent. Thank you. Who's next in the queue, Jake?
I don't see anyone in the queue. Looks like, let's see, no one's there.
Well, you mentioned pets, and so I think I would like to share with everyone a remembrance about a cat that came to visit and never went back to her other home. Her name was Sweet Pea, and she moved into our garage. A few weeks after that, her daughter Mittens decided to live at our house too. But when Sweet Pea died, I wrote this little poem to honor her life. She was truly a sweet pea, our little cat friend, coming and going at her own whim. When she finally got settled, she got quite defensive. Only Mittens was allowed to cross private fences. Together they lived in a little cat condo, enjoying the sun and watching the finches. She loved to be petted and rolled with delight. Wish we could be with her for just one more night. We would tell her we love you and give her a treat. We would pet her soft fur and say, you're so sweet. It was her love and devoted attention that brought us great joy, worth frequently mention. Remember her fondly, for her love was a pleasure, and our love for her is beyond measure. And I made this little candle. Don't know if you can see it. This is her picture. I also have her picture on the honoring table.
Margaret, we can't see the candle, but if you want to pull the picture closer for a second, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we see it. There we go.
And I don't know if I can light this candle well. There it goes. All right. There's the candle. Anyway, pets are really our family, and nothing wrong with honoring the life of your pet. So before we close, maybe there's someone who would like to honor a pet. One last chance to talk about a relative or friend or a free thought hero like Christina just did about Bobby.
Oh, I want to add one small little thing, if that's okay.
But we do have another hand after that too.
Okay, so here's a copy of the Secular Nation magazine with both Margaret and Bobby on the cover.
Fantastic. Oh my God.
I think it was in 2007 or something like that. So just wanted to share.
I can't believe you found that.
Yeah. it's here in the house.
He's handing off the baton of Atheist Alliance International. And that was drawn by a cartoonist friend of mine. And then Jake, you wanted to add something? Oh, Mitchell or Michael.
Michael, can you unmute yourself? You raise your hand.
Yeah, can you hear me?
A little lower. Can you speak up or move to the camera?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Why don't you turn your volume up a bit?
I'm not quite sure how. Let me see.
It would be on your.
Yeah, just shout. It's not going to help just shout, just speak a little louder.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me all right, I really was kind of nervous and I wasn't going to say anything, but when Margaret said last chance, I figured in the spirit of the Day of the Dead, the grave will supply plenty of time for silence. So I'd like to honor my grandmother, Fran Carlson. Everybody talks about, you know, their physical memories and things like that. But for me, I can really like close my eyes and smell her cooking in her house. And she was 94 when she died in a car accident, but she was a really strong lady. And one of the last memories I have of her was me and her alone in a room, and she was 94 and arthritic, and I was helping her up off the couch and she gave like a little groan, and because her knees were hurting. And she made the comment that is gonna stick with me forever, that she said she was lucky to have all those aches and pains because it meant that she was able to get old, and not everyone had that chance. And it's just, I thought it was a really wise thing from a very sweet lady who didn't say a lot, but when she did, it really hit. So thanks for hosting this today.
Thank you. That was an excellent communication about getting old and, you know, having these aches and pains, and, you know, looking at our scars and saying, well, that's our war in life. You know, you might get a scar or two, but at least we're alive. And, you know, I always praise science that all of us survived the COVID pandemic. So we should all be thanking science. It was so nice of you to come in and tell us about, her first name was Fran Carlson.
Fran,
Fran. Okay, got it. Okay, what a nice long life she led. That's terrific. Thank you again. Anyone else? Well, this is the last call, because I think the Spanish room is going to come over and join us.
We have Kathleen.
Margaret inspired me to share with you my beloved little cream puff. He was a rabbit I only had for a year. He came from a terrible hoarding case in Loudoun County, Virginia. But he was a very, very sweet, enthusiastic boy. And I'm glad at least he got to enjoy 1 year of life where he got to run around and have toys and a clean place to be, and all the things that a rabbit should have.
That's sweet. What was the name again?
His name, whoops. Oh, I turned off my camera, sorry.
I can hear you.
His name was Cream Puff, and that's because he was a very fancy breed of rabbit I'd actually never seen in, you know, a live one before. He was a creme d'argent. So
okay.
cream and silver.
Oh, very nice. Well, I just got a text from the Spanish room, and Jake, they're closing out the Spanish room. Will they automatically come back to the main room?
Yes, I believe so. If they
I
want
think Jake had his hand up too.
if they want to close out now, I can even just close out all the rooms so they just automatically come back.
All right.
Okay, I'll do that.
Jake, did you have your hand up for something?
Oh, I did. I was going to add one thing.
Oh, sure. Why don't you do that first then?
Oh, they're going to come in a minute, but while I share Margaret and just talking about pets, I just also wanted to share a dog who passed a number of years ago. My first dog I had.
Okay, so the memorials were wonderful, and they reminded us of our heritage and how we are remembered in the world. And this world is really for us to establish a legacy, because that is our true afterlife. And I hope you all continue with your goals of leaving the world a better place and a legacy to be emulated. And now Memo will tell us the winners of the different prizes awarded during this event.
Como dijimos al anunciar el Día de los Muertos Secular, estamos dando premios para diferentes categorías. Así que acá con votaciones internas, el jurado ha decidido que la mejor escenografía del Día de los Muertos y una excelente make-up y un excelente hairdress es para Connie Fleming. Muchas gracias. El mejor make-up es para Memo. Yo me decidí a mí mismo. No se crean, no puedo hacer eso. El mejor make-up es, y también excelente hairdress y también excelente altar, si lo puedo decir, es para Ana Zamudio. Tenemos un overall winner también por participar, Jane Lorenzen. Y también mejor máscara o mejor representación en la cara, Cecilia Pagan. Así que muchas gracias a los participantes, a todos por vestirse, y todas las personas que ganaron serán contactadas para que puedan elegir su premio. Y estoy seguro que les encantarán los premios. Yo en años pasados siempre me gané algo y me encantan mis premios. Es lo único que no me gustó de ser organizador este año, es que no me pude ganar nada. Pero bueno, los disfrutan. Y muchas gracias por participar en el Día Secular de los Muertos 2022.
Yes, thank you very much for attending. We are so grateful for the event co-sponsors. They are Hispanic American Freethinkers, American Ethical Union, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, the Center for Inquiry, and supporters of the Freethought Society who helped to finance this event.
Agradecemos también a Luis Alberto Torres y a nuestro orador Fernando Alcántar.
Y también les damos gracias a nuestros artistas, Caneco Leiva, Juan Antonio García Hernández, Salvador León y Bonnie Servan. Su participación hizo este evento particularmente especial. Gracias.
Muchas gracias a nuestro asistente técnico, Jake Ritter. Hiciste un excelente trabajo, Jake. Muchas gracias también a Cristina Magallanes Jones por las traducciones y pegar los textos en inglés y español para nosotros. Tu trabajo bilingüe es muy, muy apreciado.
Y unas gracias muy especiales a Jaira Shah, quien preparó y presentó todos los videos y puso toda la música con los mensajes de las filminas. Durante los créditos, disfruten nuevamente de la música de Caneco y Juan Antonio, interpretando, pues, ¿qué más? Un cover de Imagine de John Lennon. Si quieren socializar con nuestros participantes, por favor, quédense en el Zoom cuando terminen los créditos y la canción.
Cielo, es fácil de lograr, que no existe el infierno, solo un mundo que ama. Imagina a la gente viviendo solo el hoy. No existen las fronteras, no hay raza ni color, sin armas ni guerras, poco hay religión. Imagina a la gente viviendo la vida en paz. Me dirás que es un sueño, pero habrá más como yo. Algún día nos uniremos, todo el mundo en una sola voz. Imagina que el pobre y el rico son igual, sin codicias ni hambre, ya no hay más desigualdad. Imagina a la gente amando por igual. Me dirás que es un sueño, pero habrá más como yo. Algún día nos uniremos, todo el mundo en una sola voz.